Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Lady Justice Talks, where curiosity meets law. Today's episode is on navigating mental health as students. And first, again, you're here with Anita, and we have a new host with us today, Chantel. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Chantel, and I'm a new podcast host, and I am in my second year, or I'm an upcoming second year student in the Bachelor of Social Works program. Yay! Yay!
We're so happy to have her as a new addition to our team. And today we have our co-presidents of WILA here with us speaking on this matter. So I'm just going to let them introduce themselves one by one.
All right, so my name's Maleeha, and I'm going into my third year of Law and Society, and I'm also doing a certificate in anti-racist research and practice. So excited to talk to you guys today about mental health.
And I'm Victoria. I'm also going into my third year of Law and Society, and I am the other co-president of WILA. I'm very lucky to be able to work with Maleeha. And I'm also excited to talk about mental health. Super excited. Sorry, guys, this is my first time at this.
No, they're doing great. So I'm just, based on the topic that you can tell that it's regarding mental health, and we're all students here, so I'm just going to jump into the first question just as a warm-up to get everything started. So would you guys be comfortable telling us what diagnosis or mental health challenges you have faced throughout your life?
Sure. So I've been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. And those are obviously, there's a lot of overlap in those, but there are also things that make them different. And so it's kind of just a really nice, fun little mix of exciting stuff.
So I'm actually not going to get into specific labels or diagnoses, just because I find that throughout the course of my mental health, labeling them hasn't made it easier. And I think there's always people experiencing them in their own unique ways that I can't necessarily just say, oh, this is what I'll experience. But I've definitely experienced my fair share of mental health struggles. Like most students, I'm sure, anxiety, burnout, emotional, overwhelmed. There's a lot of specific challenges that I have faced.
What was, when you first got diagnosed, what were your first initial, reactions, or how did you guys handle this, the diagnosis and all that?
I mean, to be honest, for me, it wasn't this is where it starts. This is my mental health journey. It started right here. I feel like it was building up over time, and I can think back even to when I was a kid. There was little things that it's that probably should have been a sign of something. But obviously that's normal.
It made sense to you when the...
Exactly. It made sense that what I was feeling as a teenager, it fit in with everything else I had experienced in my life. So it wasn't necessarily just one spot in my journey, but I would say that as it has increased over time, I've become more aware of it, and as I've become more aware of it, I've tried learning ways to deal with it, but at first it was obviously very overwhelming, because what are you supposed to do in this situation? Your mental health is declining, and you're just
and
life
you get
is good.
that, like you said, you get that label, and it's okay, well,
what am I supposed to do with this now? And then there's a whole bunch of stuff where it's you have to change your mindset. And I feel like that has always been for me very difficult, where it's the mindset is not changing. I know logically this means this, but that's not happening. So I like physical actions more. I know I got kind of off track there, but yeah.
Would you like to?
No. I need to keep say what you were going to say.
By physical actions, you just mean how you would, as a person, take the initiative to deal with whatever you're struggling with, and how you would cope, your own coping mechanisms, and to make yourself feel better, right? Which is different for everybody, so it's important to not compare based on the label, how everybody takes that specific step, but that is
so I find a lot of people I talk to who struggle with mental health find things like CBT very helpful, where it's like you basically label what you're feeling and then label like reasons why you feel this way and then debunk those reasons, and then at the end you should feel better. That has never worked for me because in my mind I'm like, well, I know logically this isn't right because like I know that. I knew that at the beginning when I started it, but I feel it anyways. Even after debunking my little theories, I'm like, okay, well, like I feel it anyways, now what? So that has never, so when I'm like physical stuff, it's like rather than me like mentally taking down this is what I have to do, this is what I should do, it's like, okay, well maybe I'll engage in self-care by taking a walk outside or whatever, these physical things that I can actually tangibly put into action.
Yeah, which is also why it's so important to not compare yourself to other people. Would you like to speak on that?
So I have like a lot of similarities in what some things in my mental health journey, I'll say, are similar to what Maleeha was experiencing, in that it's kind of just, for me anyway, I started going to therapy when I was in the second grade or third grade or something, which obviously at the time I was 7 years old or 8 years old, and so it wasn't really like it wasn't like I was going to my parents and being like, I need therapy. I don't remember how that whole thing happened.
True, yeah.
Like, I don't remember.
You're a
7,
kid.
8
My,
is like,
my parents, my mom, I guess, just like, here's what you're going to be doing once a week. And so it was very much like, this is kind of always something I've dealt with for as long as I can remember. And which is not to say I don't remember a time before I was, going to therapy and, actively working on being, doing better and being less anxious and things like that. But again, it's kind of very much like there isn't a defined, it's not like something ultra traumatic happened to me and then I just, started going to therapy or I started having anxiety. It's just kind of like, I guess I was kind of born this way. And there are things in my personal life that like, my mom struggles with an illness that's a progressive one. So she was diagnosed with it after my brother was born. So like when I was 2, and she's gotten progressively worse over time. So that definitely contributes, I think, to my anxiety a lot, which kind of goes to what I was saying about, maybe, and this isn't necessarily a direct correlation, but like as she's gotten worse, that's taken a toll on my mental health, and it's all just kind of moved very slowly and progressively. So I guess, yeah, because I was so young when all of this happened, when this whole thing started, I wasn't in a position to be surprised, I guess, because I didn't really understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that this was something that other people didn't deal with. Like, it was just, oh, I'm going once a week on my lunch recess. Oh my God, recess. I'm going once a week on my lunch recess to, to see this doctor lady or whatever and just talk about stuff. And I didn't get that this was something that was not something that everybody did. It was just very much like a part of my life. And then, yeah, like I said, I wasn't in a position to be surprised by what was going on because it was just a very nice, easy, I guess, transition.
I want to add on to that because although like how it happened is very different, me and Victoria both share the experience of our mothers experiencing medical issues. So again, I won't get into details, but unlike Victoria, who I guess it was from a young age, my mom was diagnosed with her condition when I was in grade 12, I believe, and it was midway through my grade 12 year. I was applying for universities. We got the diagnosis. Like less than a month later, she got surgery, and it was almost like emotional whiplash.
Yeah.
So it was like I was doing like, I wouldn't say like I was doing fine before. It wasn't like life was all like rainbows and roses or whatever. But it was like I had like a somewhat like stable sense of what my home life was like. And then the diagnosis happened, and then you're like, oh, well, like everything I thought I knew about like my mom, my family, whatever, it just like went down the drain. And it's like, well, how do I cope with this? And then it's like, well, there's a surgery. Well, now there's recovery. And now there's all these things we have to do after recovery. And because of what the condition is, my mom will never likely be the same. And they have to continue monitoring it. So I guess it's like dealing with that, like the image of the mother I once had, like she was someone who was very strong, maybe a little bit cold, but very smart. She was a very smart woman, always. She's a doctor, so she's always been like doing stuff with her patients, medicine, all of that. And then reconciling it with the mom I now once knew, who's a little bit more gentle, softer, maybe a little even more fragile, which is definitely something that affects you in your parental figures in your life if you have experienced something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm like really happy that you guys shared both of your experiences, because I think that it's like highlighting the suddenness of trauma and also the progressiveness of trauma is really important about talking about mental health. For me, I also dealt with my dad having a disease in my youth, and it, like you, it progressed slowly, and I didn't feel the effects. I felt fairly normal, like it was just a part of my life for like most of my life. So it's important that we understand that trauma is not just a sudden thing, but it can also be gradual. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. Awesome. So have you guys ever felt the need to like put on a brave face or hide your diagnoses in front of people?
So I've always been quite open about my mental health struggles, in that I've never like, it's not like, hi, I'm Victoria and I have depression kind of thing, but it's like, it's
Great intro though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's not something I've ever like felt the need, and I totally understand and respect people who are not comfortable sharing whatever they're not comfortable sharing, whether it's specifics or whether it's anything at all. Like, I totally respect that everybody has different levels of comfort about what they're willing to share, and that's totally something I respect and understand. I personally have never had a problem with people knowing that in general I struggle with depression, I struggle with anxiety, I struggle with OCD, but it's more like in specific moments where like I'll be having like, I'm gonna call it a meltdown for lack of a better term. Like, yeah. I'll just be like having a really hard time in this specific moment because like this triggered a thought and I'm overstimulated and this is going on and this is going on. And I will often try to hide it in a moment. So it's not like, again, most of the people in my life know that.
You have the right to.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
Like, it's you like.
I'm not very good at it. Like, here's the thing. Like, okay, well, it depends. But, like, the people who know me well enough, like, I'll try to, sometimes I'll, like, very clearly be, like, having, or, like, I'll think I'm really slick. And, like, I'll be having, like, again, I'll be really struggling and I'll be thinking about stuff. I'll be having one of my little meltdowns. And I'll think, like I said, I'll think I'm really slick and like I'm doing a really good job of like putting on a brave face. But the people who know me well enough, and I think I do fool some people, but the people who know me well enough, the people who are close with me are gonna be like, you're just full of it.
But there's a reason they're close to you, of course.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah. So like I don't mind it. It's just I do to directly answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
I try to hide it in moments when I feel that that's what I should be doing. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm trying not to have, like, I'm not out here trying to, like, cry and have a full, like, sobbing meltdown in the middle of lecture. Like, that's not what I'm looking for.
No, I know what you mean, yeah.
I get what you mean, because, like, it's like the thought of being perceived of that, like, I want to deal with this on my own.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't necessarily need someone to, like, help me right now. Like,
yeah.
I've got this. But then somehow when people bring their insights, I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, girl, like, I got this for myself, and I think it actually makes it worse sometimes. Does it make it worse for you?
Well, I was going to say...
I was thinking the opposite.
Oh, really?
I was thinking, like feeling like you don't want to burden somebody else.
Right. So
okay.
That's...
Which that makes sense, because some stuff you do have to deal with it yourself, and that is completely okay, because you do want to have things under control. But then another part about like hiding it and not wanting others to see, I feel like comes from like feeling like you don't want to burden somebody else, which you should like obviously always remind yourself that that's not the case, and the people that are closest to you, there's a reason that they're closest to you, the same way that they're there for you, you're there for them. So it's not like it shouldn't be called a burden, but that's how I was like perceiving it as.
I see.
Yeah.
So I think like for me, like Victoria's situation is again a little bit different than mine. So I have had situations where I've had to hide it because of my experience, because in my youth I was like 13, 14, when I was first starting to really struggle with these things, I was a lot more open with my friends. And it wasn't like these were friends I had known for a year, a couple years. It was friends that I had known for, I guess it would be about 6 years at that point. So 6 to 10 years those are the longtime friends.
Yeah.
And I had opened up about my mental health struggles, and it ended up like being an issue later on and brought up by them. So it ended up, and it was like, it became a thing, which is never nice. But then it was like, I'm someone who's a very like open person when I get to know you. So it was very difficult for me to be like, oh, well, now I should never share again. So then I would do it again. And then every time I would do it, it would happen. It backfired. I ended up having it used against me. I had like people making comments, people doing stuff. It was just very awful. So now, even though I try my best, and like, again, my close friends do know what I struggle with, but it's like I have to watch myself, because I know every time I put myself in these situations, it always ends up the same, which is like not to say that it should, because like in an ideal world, it would be like, well, everyone can share their mental health struggles and everyone else is going to have
And
empathy.
nobody's going to use it against you.
Yeah, they're all going to be nice. They're going to be caring, kind, supportive, whatever. That would be so nice. But unfortunately, that's not the case, which pains me. It pains me to say that. And then I guess in another example, adding on to what Victoria said, I think I'm very similar in the sense that my friends can definitely tell when something's wrong. I don't necessarily have meltdowns in the sense of like me either yelling or crying, nor do I ever tell people when I have these situations. It's usually like me thinking about them. But now, like, even when I text my friends during one of them, they're very easily able to tell. Or even like if it's like after a class,
Like
and
your vibe is off, or your mood is different.
it's like even after a class, sometimes my friends will like, usually like if I'm talkative, and I guess if I'm not that talkative, people know, or if I just seem very overstimulated, they know to leave me alone. And I think that's also key, is having friends who know you best. Because like, for example, when I'm hanging out with Victoria and my other friends, they know that if I'm overstimulated, I don't want to talk too much, but it's not that I don't want you guys there. I like your presence. I just don't want to engage too much. I'm too tired to do that. You know, it's
you
like,
just need the company,
exactly,
moral support. Yeah.
and it's like a lot of these friends do know that, and that's super nice. But I like the fact that I can have that without necessarily being like, this is what I'm going through right now. This is what I need from you. Blah blah blah. It's nice that it's like, oh, like I can tell, but they're not gonna verbalize that to me. They just do it.
It's like they know already. Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that.
That you guys kind of answered one of the questions I had regarding how has your own relationship with your mental health like evolved, because you both talked about since you were kids or how you dealt with it. Is there anything else you want to add in regards to that?
I think one thing for me is that I had gone through the rabbit hole of self-diagnosing, which is never a good option, because again, you know, like if you have some medical issue, you're not going on Google and being like, what do I have? And then you're like, oh, well, I definitely have this now. You
I'm
know,
dying
like,
I got
now.
cancer.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So like I think it's the same for mental health, and I think it's very common nowadays. And I understand that there's some situations where it's like, for example, I know Americans, it's like you can't access this healthcare, you know, like, and so it's like, why am I paying thousands of dollars to get a diagnosis from someone where I'm like fairly certain I have this? That's another case. But I feel like there's an extent, and I definitely went down that rabbit hole earlier, and it was, in fact, not only like not helpful, but detrimental.
How is it detrimental for you?
I think it was almost like from the diagnoses I gave myself, a lot of them had, again, a lot of negative stigma, which is also like in a perfect world, we wouldn't have that. But from that stigma, I internalized it, and then I went further down that rabbit hole where it was like, well, like I'm a bad person. This is what I am. This is what I'm doing. People like who have this do this. And it's like, I didn't even know I had it for sure, because I had never seen someone to diagnose it properly, but it's like, because I had thought I had it, I just went down and down and down.
Yeah, like subconsciously you adopt the tendencies that you
Yeah.
self-diagnose yourself with.
Exactly.
And the rabbit hole is very much like it's a very easy thing to, I mean, I've only ever, I'm going to say, been an anxious person, so I don't know that this is like something that everybody experiences, but I have always been very prone to having one negative thought lead to another very, 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 very quickly.
Like overthinking, basically?
Yes, I'm the biggest overthinker, and it sucks so bad. But to answer your question about how my relationship has evolved with my mental health, I would say, especially because I was going to say I've had the privilege of dealing with it for this long, which is obviously not something that I'm excited by, but because I've had this long to adjust to it, and like I said, because it wasn't something that was like super sudden in my life, I think I've really just made peace with it, I guess, in a way. So it's not like
acceptance.
Yeah, like it's not an ideal situation, obviously, and yes, I really struggle with it, but I've kind of grown into it, and it's like, you know, some people struggle with sleep their whole life. You know, I struggle with sleep. But like, you know, the point is everybody has things they're gonna like deal with, you know?
Yeah,
and
of course.
There are people for whom their mental health challenges, through no fault of their own, through circumstance, through, you know, anything, are, you know, really, really like traumatic, right?
Yeah.
Like which is not to say that I don't have any trauma, but I am privileged in that I've had help. I've had professional help. I've had help from friends. My family is supportive. I'm not saying my family doesn't care. Like they're unbothered by it, as in it's not like, not that they're not supportive. They're just,
no, of course not.
It's very much just like
they're
a
not crazy about it. Like,
yeah,
they're
like this is who you are. Okay, whatever, it's
Yeah.
fine. So you know, my parents' insurance pays for my therapy, so you know it's and it's just, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, it's just something that I live with. You know, and yes, I have moments where it seems like I can't live with it, where everything is so overwhelming that it's like, oh my God, this is actually, I have no idea how I'm gonna like get up tomorrow morning kind of thing. But in general, it's something that I've made peace with. I think it's always gonna be a part of who I am. But I have strategies, I have professional help, I have friends, I have family, I have medication, which is much more helpful than I'd like to admit, because I'd like to be like, oh yes, I'm sitting in my room meditating and I'm just like mind over matter getting through this all by myself.
Yeah.
No, I'm on medication. So these things are all like helpful, and it's just, you know,
Yeah.
everybody has stuff. It's something I'm going to deal with, and it's something I now feel that, as scary as it is, especially in certain moments when, like I said, I don't know how I'm going to get up tomorrow morning. I know I am going to get up tomorrow morning, and this is a part of who I am. Sucks to be me, but this is not something
You've
that is
accepted it.
Yeah. No, what's important, well, obviously, like, everybody has their own thing, and what's important is how you deal with that, and how, like I said, not compare yourself to others. So how, like, you deal with that, and the fact that you come to acceptance with it is, I think, is a very important thing to do, because that's like a step towards the right direction. And then you both mentioned schooling, like schools throughout your, you know, while dealing with all this, and so you're both students, obviously. I just wanted to know how your mental health has affected you as a student.
I'm very lucky in the sense that my schooling has never, like, my grades have never really wavered because of my mental health, and I'm very privileged to say that. I think it's because I've been so used to working through whatever that I have not been affected as much from that. But I will say that it's not like I have no issues when it comes to school because of my mental health. Like, obviously, like, my procrastination is bad, low effort to do things, classes are very overwhelming, overstimulating. I don't want to go. Exactly. But I think, at least in my situation, what it has affected more is how I approach social relationships. Which I know is not really the question, but I
Like
don't,
classmates and stuff?
like, not even just classmates, but like family, friends, whatever. And it's not like my family isn't necessarily supportive of mental health, where, like, even though I'm brown, they are, like, relatively accepting. It's more of the sense of, like, I am the eldest daughter, and so I have to take care of my family.
Yeah.
And then when my mom got sick, like, guess who's next to, like, start taking care of, like, not necessarily the physical tasks, but emotional burdens. Like, for example,
Like being there for your siblings.
yes,
And all
so,
that.
like, I'm often, like, a shoulder for my sister to rely on when she vents about her stuff. She's going to grade 10, and so that's, like, a big thing for her. She's venting to me about all this stuff. And then, like, you know, like, if my mom's feeling something, I'm, like, the one she goes to, and I'm, like, encouraging her. I don't see my brother much because he's in boarding school. But And so it's like me dealing with a lot of these emotions where it's like I can't really go to any of them about my emotions because it's not necessarily that I feel like I'm being a burden. It's like because I know what they're experiencing right now and I'm their safe space for them, I don't want them to feel like I can't like be a safe space because of what I'm experiencing. So I push down my mental health in favor of theirs, which is not healthy, by the way. Like, don't do that. This is not recommended. But it's what I end up doing a lot of the time. And it's also what I end up doing in a lot of my friendships, where it's like people are going through issues, and I'm always happy to listen. I take whatever I've listened and I like either comment or just listen quietly, try to give advice or reassurance. But then I just don't want to share my mental health because, I don't want to be a place where they feel like they can't share anymore because she's going through their own things, So it's like I end up pushing down a lot of my emotions, which has resulted in me like not like acknowledging my emotions for a long time, where it's like now I've just begun starting to acknowledge what I'm feeling, and then a lot of periods there's emotional numbness where it's like I don't know what I'm feeling because I pushed it down for so long. Now, like, what am I feeling? Like, am I sad? Am I happy? Am I mad? I don't know. I'm literally just existing right now.
Yeah, is it like you feel responsible for other people's mental health that you haven't had time to take care of yours
Exactly.
yourself?
I feel like in that sense, I've been very focused on that, and I think it ties into the fact that I tend to be a very empathetic person. Like, for example, like, I don't want to say this in like I'm an empath way, but like, for example, I cried at the movie Brave, like with Merida. I cried at Lilo and Stitch. I see TikToks of like cute ducks and cats and stuff. I cry.
Like
I
old people.
I'm a huge crier. And like
sorry.
people like just like they're always like I don't drink because like I'm Muslim, but people are always like, Maleeha, if you drank, you'd be a huge crier because you're already a crier. So like I can't imagine that, but it's just that's like the level of like how much I feel like not necessarily I can't identify these emotions, but I feel stuff.
You feel strongly, yeah.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
it.
So it's why I've always ended up in these situations where I'm carrying everyone else's problems and I'm not really focusing on my own.
But that's not good.
That's not important. That's not the point.
No, but
I can.
Oh yeah, go ahead,
I'm just
Victoria.
gonna say, I know what she's like. I'm also gonna ignore your question about school because I'm just gonna build off of what she said.
Sure.
Sorry.
We'll get to that later.
But like as far as what Maleeha said about like relationships with other people and things, I want to be super clear. Sorry, I keep looking at myself on the monitor. I want to be super clear. I am not saying you have to have mental health challenges to be my friend. Okay, I don't want to come across that way. But there is a certain amount of comfort, I guess,
when you both relate to the same.
Yes. So even if it's not like the same struggles, and it absolutely doesn't have to be, but with Maleeha, who's one of my closest friends, I can always say, my hand looks weird. I can always say, this is gonna sound crazy. I don't expect you to understand this, but I know that she understands where I'm coming from, even if she doesn't understand the precise thought process behind it.
Yeah,
and that happens a lot. Like it happens. Sorry, I just
go ahead.
You talk. It happens a lot where I'm like, even Maleeha will be like, okay, that's like that doesn't make any sense at all. But I know that she knows what it feels like to sound to other people like you don't make any sense at all.
Which is why I'm saying it's important for you to also be able to open up to your friends as much as they open up to you. Like, obviously, I know what you mean. Like, I fully know actually what you mean by pushing down your emotions and then wanting to be there for other people instead. But it's also important to remind yourself that, like, it's important to remind yourself that you have to put your own mental health first. Because think about it like this: if you lose yourself or if you don't put yourself first, then there is not gonna be anybody like you that's gonna be there for them. You know what I mean? Just think about it like that. So of course, like obviously, like you can think about it as a time and place thing. Like you're there for them when they need you, right? You don't have to open up about your stuff like right there if you don't feel comfortable, but you can still open up over time, right? Because then again, like you can't just keep it all in yourself, like not good. And you can also try writing it
I
down.
thought we needed Susu to do therapy with. This is amazing.
It's like
I just like I'm kind of, I mean, if you guys couldn't tell, I'm extroverted, so I talk to a lot of people and like
He just like, let me help you.
let me, I'm there for, no, I'm joking, but like, you know what I mean, like just think about it like that, like if you don't put yourself first, then there is not going to be anybody else like you that's going to put like be there for your family and all that, right?
How much do you charge for your services?
Oh, that was free, by the way. That
For
was
you guys,
free.
because you guys are president, I don't want to get fired. It's free.
Yes.
I'm joking.
No, yeah, but when you said it like about like Maleeha being like a safe space, I think both of you are non-judgmental to each other, which is like a great
Which is
relationship
how it
to
should
have.
be. Like
it should be, yeah.
I think it was Maleeha who said something about how it always backfires on her,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not how it should be. Like, I'm so sorry that that's what has happened,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm so happy that you two, for example, have found each other. Like, I have friends who I feel the same way with. Like, it should, like, what you're going through and what you deal with should never be an excuse of something that backfires on you, because especially when everybody has different things that they face, different challenges and different ways that they like for example, my friend could be telling me about a situation, I'd be like, oh, I would deal with this like differently, but then I come to recognize that they're their own person and they need to deal with it the way that they're dealing with it, a certain way, and all I can do is be there for them and support them in the best way that I can and make sure that they're okay, which is ultimately what's important. So I'm so sorry that has happened, but I'm so happy that like you found like each other, and like I'm sure you said you have other friends as well. So
Yeah,
I just had to.
No, I'd love to
like,
add as well.
Not like that, because you said like
great guys.
you guys
I need
are so
to think
cute.
I have other friends.
no, not like that, because
You have other friends.
no, everybody
it's
loves
just cute
everybody
relationship.
loves
We're friends
Maleeha.
together.
Everybody loves Maleeha. No, but I was saying because you were saying how like my friends and all that. So I was
Don't
just,
worry, I'm joking
was-
with you. I'm joking with you.
I was just referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were the
I
friends
got
like
you.
two.
But you said something. Yeah, you said something very important about like how we all have different coping mechanisms, and like I think mental health is seen as like this one thing. You only go to therapy, like what Maleeha said, but like we all face things differently.
Well,
that's
and then
it. Mhm.
Sorry.
No,
I
go
totally
ahead,
talked over
yeah.
you again. There's just one thing I really want to say. For anybody who's listening who maybe does not understand these challenges personally, but has friends that do, like I said, I'm totally 100%. I have many friends who, struggle with the typical anxieties of being a teenager, of being a university student, of being a whatever, because everybody has some degree of anxiety. Nobody is, mentally perfect. But I have friends who don't struggle with, the diagnosed issues that I do, or don't have that personal understanding of the extent to which I am anxious and I am obsessive and I overthink. And that is totally 100% great. I love having people in my life who are just much less encumbered by these things. But the hardest thing for me is,
Explaining to them.
well, it's not even that. It's that everybody, like, I've become increasingly aware as I've grown up of the fact that there are friends, like, there are people in your life who, I don't want to say serve a purpose, but like, I'm using you. No, but like, there are always going to be things that not everybody can understand.
Like they have
And if-
roles, yeah.
Right. And so if certain friends of mine don't understand my mental health challenges on a personal level, that is totally fine. But the thing that I struggle with the most is when people insist that they understand your mental health challenges and then say something that proves that they don't. Like, it's okay that you don't. It is 100% okay, because I have other, Maleeha is my friend for a million reasons besides the fact, Maleeha's not only my friend because we're both crazy. Maleeha's my friend.
Pause.
What? Maleeha's my friend for a million reasons. I love Maleeha, but I know if if I want to go to somebody who personally understands what it's like to have these kind of struggles, I can go to Maleeha, and I don't have to go to this cousin or this friend or this whatever. I don't need you to be that person for me, because I have other people who can do that for me. So just don't overstep, I guess. Don't it's okay that you don't get it.
Like, you don't try too hard.
But don't pretend you get it if
When
you
you
don't, because
Sometimes
that can
just-
actually be so much more harmful than
Sometimes
Right.
just being that, like, if you're already opening up to that person, you probably know them well enough to know that they probably won't understand. So sometimes if somebody is opening up to you, this is how I'm taking it. Sometimes if somebody is opening up to you, that's already enough, like, proof that they trust you and they want you to be there. But, like, listening is okay.
Yeah.
Like, like not every time, like, whenever my friends open up to me, there's usually times that I want to say stuff and put in my input, but there's many times that I'm also like, okay, I should be a listener right now. Like, that's what they need. They don't need somebody to give them feedback or search for a solution to help them deal with what, because they know how to deal with it. Oh, sorry. They know how to deal with it. Like, they just want you to, like, listen, you know?
I
That's,
think,
Yeah.
I think even further than that, different people want different things.
Yeah.
And for example, I know I have friends who just want me to listen, and then I give like some small comments about like I empathize with what you're going through. I know that must be horrible. You know, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Something like that. There's sometimes people who want something like advice or like what would you do in this situation. Sometimes even I'll ask my friend what they would do in this situation. Did
Yeah.
I handle it right? Blah blah blah. And then there's sometimes people just wanted to vent and then they just want like you to like take their mind off of it because they don't necessarily want to think too much about it. They want
They
I
just
don't
wanna
know
forget
like,
about it,
cute
like-
cat videos or something and you can send them their way and they're like, wow, this is thank you so much for being there for me, because support comes in so many different forms.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Yeah,
I was
it's
gonna say-
not just like this or that. And then I think even further to what Victoria was saying, and I hate when people are saying as if they empathize with the exact situation. I had a situation with someone who I considered a friend at the time where like they heard about my mother's illness. I had vented to them, and then a couple days later they were like, oh, I think I have that same illness, and then like made it about them. And I was like, oh, like that's not what you're supposed to do. Like, if I talk to you about something like this, like, if you think you seriously have that illness, see a doctor. But like, I wouldn't be the person to go to, you know, if you have that same illness. So it was just, it was a jolt for me too, because it was someone I had considered a very close friend at the time, and I wish
Yeah.
them nothing but the best, but we were not compatible in that mental health relationship because I had seen that and I was like, wow, like you just really didn't care about how I feel in this situation. You're going with whatever is going your way. Okay, like I guess I'll step back.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, like that's cool, I guess, but I think what you need to acknowledge is that like even if they do legitimately think that they had this condition, maybe I'm not the right person to talk about it with. Maybe it's Victoria, or maybe it's Anita, or maybe it's like Chantel, like it's someone else. But like there are different people for different things, not even in just the sense of their emotional capacity and relation, but just of what they may be going through in the personal sense. Like if I know someone just went through a really bad breakup, I'm not gonna go to them and be like, oh, my love life is so fantastic. Look at me, guys.
Everything's
Like,
great.
You know, like that would just
I'm
make
getting
them feel
married,
so
guys.
horrible. You know, like, and not to say that you can like should exclude them from things or not make them feel normal.
There's a time and
but-
place.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
You can hold it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like about being considerate and all that.
So I think it really depends person to person, case to case. Obviously, support your friend what they need best. And you can obviously ask them. Sometimes I do that. And you're like, do you want me to listen? Do you want advice or do you want distraction?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I
And
echo
then-
that.
Yes, and
I
then they
second
just
that.
go ahead with whatever they wanted, and it works great. I would rather that than just assuming what the person wants and hurting their feelings in the process, or furthering their mental health spiral, which would be like, it would be horrible for me to know that I did that to someone I love.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's important to like communicate your boundaries. I know communication is so like cheesy, but you need to communicate, guys.
Yeah, but
like,
there's a reason it's a cliche. Like it's because
exactly,
we need to do this.
communication. It's important. Like,
Oh my god, I hate miscommunication tropes in those romance books.
oh, babes, me too.
They make
it's
me
so
so
stupid.
mad, bro. Like,
Wait,
it's like,
what?
you know,
I have
like,
no idea what
where
she's
it's
You know what? They're like, oh,
so
like,
it's like
we're-
they're dating, and then the girl is like talking to the guy, and then the guy is like, oh, like I'm gonna go meet this girl tonight, and then the girl assumes it's like a date or something, but the guy is just meeting her to get flowers for the girl.
Exactly.
So and it's like you could have just said like you could
Wait,
have
I'm
said.
confused.
Yeah,
Wait, I don't think I processed the communication trope.
Miscommunication
Miscommunication.
trope.
Well, like
It's-
when you know what a trope is? Like it's
Yeah.
not, it's like a cliche, right? It's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that like
yeah.
So it's like they don't communicate
this is
about
like-
something so minuscule that it becomes like a major fight.
And it's so stupid.
It's-
Like
and
this
it's
happens
like,
a lot in
it's
books,
like, oh, I'm
apparently.
hanging out
I
with
don't
this
know.
girl right now. It's his sister, and then like the girl gets mad.
Yeah.
And then it's like
because
this,
they don't know it's
I
the
feel like that
sister.
happens a lot in real life too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So guys,
it
get it
does.
together. Like
Com-
everybody.
Wait, in
Communicate.
3, 2, 1.
Communication.
Oh my god,
Oh,
sorry.
again.
I thought
Whatever.
communication is key.
Communication.
Oh, communication is key.
Okay,
Communication is key.
Oh, wait,
3,
what?
2, 1.
Communication is key.
There we go.
Wait, no, we did not. Okay.
No, we didn't.
I know that we introduced you guys as presidents, and especially in a career like law, it comes with a lot of pressure. So, does your mental health challenges or diagnoses affect your day-to-day experience, your responsibilities?
I think for me, in the sense that, yes, like I definitely experience them every day, but I wouldn't say that, oh, I can't be a leader because I experience this. I can be a leader in the same capacity. I just have to know my boundaries, know my limits. I'm not limited to necessarily whatever this box is. I just have to make sure, like, oh, I'm not getting burnt out. Oh, I'm not getting overworked. I'm not getting overstimulated. And if I am, take a break. It's really great for me and Victoria to be in a co-presidency because anytime one of us is struggling with something, I'm like, yo,
I got you.
Victoria, like, I'm not feeling that great right now. Can you take over this? And then when Victoria is going through something, she can be like, yo, like, I know I haven't been present this much. This is what's happening. Can you do this? And I'm like, I got you. Like, and it's good having a partner in which you can communicate that with. Partner, like, this is my wife.
Cute.
Kidding. But co-president that you can communicate with. Because it's so important. And I think even in other roles, if you're just a leader, there are other people who can step up if you do need that break. It's important just to communicate that. Or even if you're not a leader, if you need a break, like, tell your boss, like, yo, I need some, like, time. Like,
That's how I talk to my boss. Yeah, yo.
like, sup, man? Can I get a mental health break? Something like that. But, you know, like, I think communicating that is important, and everyone deserves breaks. As a leader myself, if someone was like, yo, I need time, like,
I'm gonna text Maleeha like, yo, I can't
need
edit
time.
this episode.
I'd be like, okay, sure, why not? You've been hardworking outside of this. I don't mind you taking a mental health break. I know we all need it sometimes, you know? So that's what I do as a leader that I hope other leaders would do for me.
Yeah, it's like you are a leader at first, but like we're a team, right? So we always have each other's back. Oh gosh, I'm losing my voice.
What about your leadership experience and all the...
Well, I think it's similar to Maleeha's in that, like, especially because I understand what it's like to... Okay, let me back up. I'm going to go back to I'm at peace, or I'm like, I've come to accept my situation. And because I've come to accept my situation, it's not always... and like I said before, I have moments where I'm like, oh my god, right now in these 20 minutes, I'm like super overstimulated and I'm thinking about way too much, and it's just like I'm going down a rabbit hole and it's whatever. But in general, I'm kind of like, yes, I have anxiety, yes, I have depression, yes, I have OCD, but I'm kind of like at a baseline where it's like, okay, I can deal with this. These are things that I'm dealing with, but I can deal with them. That was so lawyery of me, really eloquent. And so, thanks. So my biggest fear, I guess, is that in a moment of importance, I'm gonna have one of those like meltdown kind of moments, which was also not the answer to the question. So to answer the question, I think because because I struggle with these things, I am in a position, I was gonna say uniquely qualified, but there are lots of people that struggle with these things, but I am in a position where, like Maleeha said, I totally understand what it means to need to take 5. I totally understand, or to take 3 days or a week or whatever. I totally get it. I think the challenge is, I don't know that I would be as empathetic, and I don't know that I would be as empathetic to that if I didn't have personal experience with it. And so I don't know that I can really expect, I mean, it's the 21st century, I think. Mental health is becoming increasingly talked about. It's not a secret. You can kind of assume that any given person could have some degree of mental health challenges. But I think for those who don't have personal experience with them, I do understand why they would find something like, hi boss, yo, I need a mental health break. You know, I need to take half an hour to just like collect myself. I can understand why they would find that difficult to believe. And again, I'd like to think we're advancing in the world to a point where we can all just accept that this is a thing that a lot of people deal with, but
The world isn't sunshine.
we're
and
not
rainbows.
there yet.
Yes.
And so I think that is one of the challenges.
That I have another question for you. Since you were talking about law, like you mentioned law and working with people, so you're interested in a people like a focused type of profession, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think your experiences with like mental health will help you in dealing with like clients and just all of those sorts?
So it kind of goes back to what I just said, because it is a very similar question, which is my fault. I designed that question for myself, by the way. So that's my bad. But I'm going to out myself there. But it is, at first I initially very strongly wanted to go into criminal prosecution. And I'm not so sold on that anymore. It's like, oh my God, that's 100% what I'm going to do with my life. I'm definitely more open to other forms of law. I'm talking about myself now. My point is, no matter what I would do as a lawyer if I were to become one, it would be a people thing, right? You deal with people in the legal profession, whether it's criminal defense where you're like directly dealing with, defendants one-on-one, or whether it's corporate law and you just have to literally engage with people. Dealing with people is part of living in the world, right?
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
even if your job isn't people focused,
You still
you
gotta
have
talk to people.
right, you have to go outside, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Touch grass.
Let me know when you don't have to go outside anymore. But like, you have to go outside, you have to interact with people. And so it's very much like, because I struggle with things like this, and I know that because I struggle with this, I can be empathetic, but I don't expect that everybody else can be. So I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, But because I struggle with this, I always try to think about what other people could be going through that I don't know about. Oh, well, this person's really mean. Okay. Yeah, maybe this person was really mean to you. Maybe this person's cat just died. Maybe this person's sorry, I just choked. Maybe this person's cat just died. Maybe this person,
Just went through something,
just lost their job. Maybe this person, whatever. Or maybe this person just woke up this morning the way you did as a person with anxiety. Like, that doesn't mean there aren't people that are just mean, because there are people that are just mean. There are lots of them. I try because I am an automatically pretty judgmental person, but I really try to like go back to, okay, maybe think 5 seconds, give this person, a little charity. What might they be going through that could explain why they are the way they are?
I think I'm like the opposite in that sense.
Really?
In the sense that I am not judgmental enough, in the sense that I just I give excuses all the time for people that I ignore, like putting again, it goes
Like
back.
you look on the good side.
Like, I'm like, well, like, this
yeah.
person could be going through this, so it's fine, they treated me this way. This person could be going through this person could be going through this. Like, whatever, making excuses that could full well be happening, but just because someone's going through something doesn't mean they can treat you badly, which I think is, like, a fine line that you need to walk on. It's something I'm learning to understand, because there's a lot of situations where it's like, they treated me horribly, it works in my mental health, but they're going through this and this.
You're
and
going through stuff. Are you treating them that way?
Exactly.
No,
Where
you're
it's
not.
like, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
like, I've been in, like, and not to say that I have, like, again, a whole load of traumatic experiences, but I do have some sort of traumas, and I at least tried my best not to treat anyone in a way that would hurt them, and I don't think I haven't had any complaints yet. So
Performance
if
review.
you're seeing this and I have done it, please reach out to me and I will sort that out. But I haven't had anyone who was like, yo, the way you treated me was not fire.
Wow.
Like,
Maybe not that wording, but yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, just because someone is going through something, we should obviously be empathetic of that, but to an extent where they shouldn't be able to demean you or put you down or jeopardize your own mental health.
Yeah.
There's that line to walk on.
Yeah, it's like there needs to be a balance, of course. Like, imagine if you're always understanding people all the time. You're like, oh yeah, this guy murdered him, but like, what if he was having a bad day?
Yeah.
Like, you have to have that balance where like you have judgment and you understand, hey, this person just might have malintentions, but also be understanding of it. Yeah. Good that we have both extreme, not both extremes. We have both people.
Well, and I was
Yes.
just gonna, I was gonna say, and I promise this will be really quick, was just that I think having the two of us here, as like what Chantel says, really demonstrates that like I have mental health challenges, Maleeha has mental health challenges. We are not the same. The challenges are not the same, and
Yeah.
I have depression, and that doesn't mean it presents the same way in me as it does with somebody else who also has depression. It works differently with everybody. So I think that's good to highlight.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not even like a spectrum. It's like a straight up like.
It's just
It is just
it's
a thing.
So different.
Yeah,
like a
it's so
circle.
vast.
Yeah.
It's a circle.
Somewhere
It's a
on there.
circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that you said previously, Maleeha, that you are searching to get an anti-racist research certificate.
Yes.
Yeah. So, do you mind talking about how systemic boundaries may impact people's ability to get mental health resources?
I think it goes a lot farther than we're talking about, and by no means am I an expert on this. I'm sure there's someone out there who has a podcast about but at least from what I have learned so far, there has it's not just about you can't afford therapy, because a lot of therapies are not covered on people's health cards. So you have to have some sort of insurance plan, and those insurance plans may not fully cover every appointment, so you have to pay out of pocket for some of that. And so if you want to do a certain amount of appointments, it's a lot of costs that add up. So you can't necessarily access this. Is a accessibility barrier, but there's other barriers too that we might not think of. Like, for example, I know a lot of people that are Muslim struggle with the fact that when they go reach out to a therapist, like a lot of my hijabi friends, they have a therapist who is like, oh, do you think these issues are because you wear hijab? Whereas this is not necessarily like I have mental health issues. I have not mentioned the hijab once. Why do you think it's about the hijab? This is their own understanding. They think I'm being oppressed or somehow, and that's why my mental health is bad, when every human experiences bad mental health. It's not necessarily, and I'm sure there are some people who struggle with hijab and mental health, and that is a struggle, but at least for me and my friends who have experienced this wasn't their issue. They were talking about something completely different, and they had I guess that prejudice coming into that appointment, where they were like, this is why, this is what you're doing. Or even not even just if it's religious. There's stuff like cultural stuff, whereas a lot of, for example, therapists in I don't want to say white cultures because that sounds weird.
She loves it.
I give you my blessing.
But a lot of them will be like, oh, if your family is being if your family is being toxic, you can cut them off. Whatever. It's not that easy in at least my culture, brown culture, and a lot of immigrant cultures, where it's you can't really just do that. It's family goes a lot deeper, and I'm not saying that for westernized cultures it doesn't, but I know a lot of therapists.
This is your personal experience. This is all based on personal
Exactly.
experience.
It's cultural differences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where it's
For
that's
what
a
she's
barrier
observed.
too. Whereas someone might go into their therapy appointment, experience this stuff, be like, wow, therapy sucks, I'm never doing therapy again. They leave, never do therapy again, struggling on mental health, now they can't access it. And it's just okay, well, it's not even it was an explicit barrier cost or access to therapists, or I know indigenous people probably have a lot harder time finding access to therapists in reservations and stuff.
Right, for sure.
But I'm talking about a lot of these invisible barriers, where it's a lot of these things, it's just well, this is not gonna work. The puzzle pieces don't fit. Or if for example, I'm talking to a white counselor about my racial trauma, they're not going to be like, oh, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And if they are, it's a problem.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of barriers like that we don't necessarily see on the day-to-day basis, that we should be acknowledging a little bit more, because it shouldn't be the fact that so many people try therapy and never tried again because of these situations,
Yeah, exactly.
Because therapy isn't one size fits all. There's a therapist that fits each person, but your first therapist might not be that person, So I think it's really about finding that and taking down this barriers and stigma and prejudice in general, which is affecting every aspect of life, not just mental health, but
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
You were talking about different cultures and all that, and as being the Woman in Law Association, a question that I had was, you've seen also men deal with mental health, do you think that men and women dealing with mental health are treated differently, or how should we address this?
Okay, I have thoughts about this.
Okay.
And it segues
Strap
like,
in,
like I'm like
strap
ready to
in.
go.
Yeah.
And it segues really well into what Maleeha just said about you know. Okay, let me back up and then I'll talk about how it segues.
I don't know if
how
I
it
asked
segues.
the
No, go ahead.
question.
No.
good or
Like,
not, like,
no, I
wow.
know exactly what you're talking about, and like I said,
Yeah.
So there's a term that our professors in law and society like to use a lot, and I don't know if they use it a lot.
We'll find
I'm
out.
guessing they don't use it a lot in commerce. But like it's called intersectionality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big thing about like yeah, I figured.
I've heard about it through humanities and stuff.
Yeah.
Girl, we always talk about it in social work.
Yeah. So in I think there's a lot of I know from social media, from articles on the internet, from the news, that women in the healthcare system, and I'm talking physical health right now, are very much, it doesn't happen to all women, but in general, women's physical challenges, women's physical pain especially, can very easily and often is put down to the fact that she's a woman.
Mm-hmm,
She's hysterical, she's hormonal, there's something wrong with her like female biology
Yeah,
or
it's
like
all her
it's
body.
exactly. So there's that is the first thing. A lot of women,
Wait, so what you're trying to say is that like a lot of stuff that like a way that a woman might act might just come down to the fact that she is a woman.
well,
like
an example, a concrete example I have is famous person I know of, Bindi Irwin. I don't know if anybody else knows her. She's a zoologist in Australia. Anyway, moving on.
Robert Irwin?
Yeah,
Steve Irwin?
yeah.
She's one of the Irwins.
Anyway, she's one of the Irwins, yes. And she had endometriosis,
Okay.
which is a very real, very physical, very painful condition. But she went to her doctors, and she's very public about this. She went to her doctors for years saying, I'm in pain. And basically it was like, oh, you're a woman. I'm sure it has something to do with something, but we don't really care. We're not going to find out. We're not going to whatever. So there's the woman aspect that goes to your question about like the patriarchy and whatever. But then there's also, and here's why I'm bringing intersectionality into it, there's also the mental health aspect. People with mental health challenges, and I know this from personal experience, I have, deal with the same kind of thing. Oh, you're in pain? It's probably because of your mental health. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Right.
I commonly have stomach pain induced by like an anxiety attack. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but just because it can happen doesn't mean every physical thing I'm experiencing is 100% because of my mental health.
Yeah, it's like the first assumption. Okay.
I have like an actual situation of that, where it's like so I struggled with eating for some time last year, not in the eating disorder sense, but there was something physically wrong. I couldn't keep anything down. Eating made me very sick. It was just very horrible. So for the entirety of like Ramadan, where you're fasting, usually at the end of the day you have a big meal, and at the start you have like a somewhat nice meal. That way it lasts you. I couldn't eat anything that month except a date in the morning and date at night, and that's all I ate for because it was like I couldn't keep anything down. I was very sick. And I went into my doctor one day, and they had, I guess, a resident that they were teaching, and they were the one who did the appointment with me, and I was talking about my issues, and they were like, oh, I think it's, you're experiencing anxiety is very common for people your age. And I was like,
Thanks.
like, okay, like, would anxiety, like, really, like, make me unable to eat that much? Maybe it does for some people, but I knew there was something, like, physically wrong with me, because I was, like, it was stomach pains, it was, like, my throat would swell, I would get dizzy, a bunch of stuff. And then, like, lo and behold, I go to the doctor, I'm diagnosed with a very real stomach condition, in fact, a couple of them, and they're like, yo, like, this is genetic, this is not fake, your dad has it, you probably, it's hereditary, you probably inherited it. It was not anxiety. It was literally a physical, like, my stomach is higher than it should be. Or, like, something like that. Where it's like, okay, so, like, this resident was trying to convince me it was anxiety. What if I didn't go to that private clinic and get diagnosed?
Yeah.
What if I wasn't able to access that private clinic because it was, like, out of pocket, more expensive?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's like a very real situation. And I think even adding on to what Victoria is saying, I think, I remember from her statistic, another statistic about women in healthcare is actually about the women in healthcare, like practitioners. I know this because of my mom, but apparently women supposedly live longer than men in every other statistic except for women in healthcare.
Really?
Like practicing healthcare.
Why is that?
I guess it's from like supposedly, like again, like someone find a study or something. But I guess it's from like the mental toll, the burnout. Imagine in COVID, like all those nurses working overtime and stuff like that, where it's just like that's like the only demographic which is like either I don't remember if it was the same as men or lower, but it was not where the rest of women were. So like these are very real struggles, and I think even further than that, like this stuff about like mental health, women, men. I'm not gonna necessarily say mental health is worse for women because whatever. There are definitely their own fair
men go
set
through
of
it too,
their
Yeah,
own
of
their own
course.
fair set of challenges. Women are like perceived too emotional, and that comes with its own set of problems. But men aren't allowed to show their emotions, which comes with its own set of problems. So ultimately,
The stereotypes.
yeah,
Exactly.
this setup doesn't work for anyone. So like,
Literally.
why do we have this setup? Because like women are too emotional, men are not emotional enough. Like now both sides are like experiencing mental health
Now we
issues.
hate life, yeah.
Like why do we have it set up this way? That's a great question. I would love to know the answer to that. But this, I guess we could call it patriarchy, the way the system is set up. Who is benefiting here?
It's dumb.
It's not me.
No
it's
one.
not men. It's like I guess it's the like whoever's
No,
making the
these
money
are-
off of
no,
this.
these
Exactly,
No,
exactly.
these are definitely rooted in
Yeah.
way before back in time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like
But yeah,
we have
no.
to break down the stigma of not only women in mental health who struggle a lot too, don't get me wrong, but also men in mental health where it's like, you know, like male suicide rate is way higher than women. Where it's like why is this? Well, they can't talk about their emotions with everyone, and like if they say they're going to a therapist, that's looked down upon. They're not manly enough. Like
Did you have anything else to add?
Well, no, nothing. I think just what Maleeha said, and again, we are not men. We do not speak for men here, just so we're super clear. But like, I think what Maleeha said, you know, I can speak to my experiences again, the intersectionality, as both a woman and somebody who struggles with mental health. But that is not to say that only women are dismissed in the healthcare
No,
system.
yeah, the only
that
reason,
only people
like-
with mental health
Yeah,
are.
no, the only
I just wanna
reason
make it
like
super clear
we're
that I'm not, like,
speaking.
hating on men.
Yeah, no, of
We're not
course
hating on
not.
men.
No, of
We are
course
not hating on men.
We need
No,
men. I think.
no, of course.
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, no, of course not. The only reason, guys, it's okay. The only reason we're talking about women right now is because, well, we're a woman here, and this is.
It's
a
We are
women
woman.
law.
first-person
Like,
authorities
yeah,
on women.
yeah.
Not men.
Like we're just talking about they're talking about they're sharing their personal experiences, and well, they're women. If like we've had episodes with men, and we're open to doing them more again, but right now it's just the focus is on you guys. So of course we're gonna be talking about women. But and do you guys have any last tips about how like students should deal with like their mental health and what they're going through?
I'll be super quick. I do not do this enough myself, so I will open with that. I'm kind of talking out my butt here but this is, I notice a big difference I notice a big difference between when I do these things and when I don't. Do things for your own, do things that make you happy. If you like reading, read. If you I like playing piano, play piano. Do things that make you happy, because I'm a big thinker. I'm like, okay, well, how is playing piano gonna help me reduce my anxiety? That doesn't make any sense. I can't explain it. I can't whatever. Don't worry. Don't explain it. Don't just do it. Doing things that make you happy, even if they don't directly address the things that are making you unhappy, it's a good balance. This is nothing that you're not going to find on a YouTube video. I don't have to be telling you this, but as somebody who goes through these things personally, I do notice a difference when I do these things, when I don't. I should be doing them more often. Everybody should be doing them more often. Do things that make you happy, and don't be afraid to cut things out of your life that don't make you happy, or not even, I don't mean cut things out of your life completely, but don't be afraid to reduce the time you spend interacting with things that do not actively contribute to making you a better, healthier, happier person.
So I guess my tip would be watch your own, focus on yourself, because I guess what you've learned from me is that I don't do that nearly enough. Focus on yourself, set your boundaries, kind of like what Victoria is saying, and then also go outside, touch some grass, not necessarily in the bad way, but 20 minutes outside does a great deal of help for your mental health. There's a whole thing called Japanese forest bathing, which is a whole medical study about like how being near trees like makes you happier.
Whoa.
Which I don't know like the scientific proof of that, but the fact that there are so many studies about how being outside helps you should tell you that you should at least be outside 20 minutes of your day, whether it's walking to work, like you don't need to be sitting out there lounging, you know, or maybe like take your notes outside, or if you like study, like bring your book, you know, or something like that. And then I think it's also like get some sunlight, vitamin D, you know, like don't be in your basement all the time. I think not only in the sense that it's like scientific, but also like there's such a beautiful world out there that we don't nearly always get the chance to appreciate. So just taking those small moments to appreciate the little things. So whether it's outdoors, your friends, your family, romanticizing the little things in your routine, like maybe you light a candle when you take a bath, or like, you know, like when you read a book, you'll like put out like some like cookies or something and like have a bite of those, you know, like these little things add up in big like ways where it's just romanticizing your life just makes life so much more manageable.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on this episode, doing this episode with us today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us, and this episode was insightful for you. If there are not any other comments, we shall wrap this up. So thank you so much for listening to us, and stay tuned for another episode. Bye.
Bye.